A child born amidst darkness, a spark of hope in a world shadowed by despair. Aragorn, son of Arathorn, carried a lineage of kings and legends. His early years were shaped by tragedy, perseverance, and the burden of destiny. This is the story of the man who became King Elessar.
Build me an army worthy of Mordor.
It came to pass that when Aragorn was 49 years of age, he returned from perils on the dark confines of Mordor, where Sauron now dwelt again and was busy with evil. He was weary, and he wished to go back to Rivendell and rest there for a while ere he journeyed into the far countries. And on his way he came to the borders of Lorien, and was admitted to the hidden land by the Lady Galadriel. He did not know it, but Arwen and Domiel was also there, dwelling again for a time with the kin of her mother. She was little changed, for the mortal years had passed her by, yet her face was more grave, and her laughter now seldom was heard. But Aragorn was grown to full stature of body and mind, and Galadriel bade him cast aside his way-worn raiment, and she clothed him in silver and white, with a cloak of elven grey and a bright gem on his brow. Then, more than any king of men, he appeared, and seemed rather an elf lord from the Isle of the West. And thus it was that Arwen first beheld him again after their long parting. And as he came walking towards her, under the tree of Caras Galadon, laden with flowers of gold, her choice was made, and her doom appointed. Before we dive into today's video, I want to give a quick shout out to our other channel, the Tabletop Alliance. If you're a fan of Middle-earth strategy battle game or MESBG, it is well worth checking out. So whether you're into epic battle reports, army discussions, painting tips, or staying up to date with the latest news, there is something for every Middle-earth fan. So if that sounds like your thing, head over and join the Alliance. But now, let's get on with the video. The tale of Aragorn begins with a lineage that stretches back to the founding of Númenor and beyond. He was born on March 1st, 2931 of the Third Age, the son of Arathorn II and Gilraen the Fair, both descendants of Isildur's line, the elder son of Elendil. Through their maternal line, Aragorn also descended from Firiel, a descendant of Anarion, tying him to both royal lines of Gondor and Arnor. But the glory of his forebears had long since faded. The Dúnedain, once the proud heirs of Númenor, were scattered people in the north, reduced to wandering rangers after the fall of Arnor. Gondor, the southern kingdom, had also lost its line of kings and was now ruled by stewards who held no love for the heirs of Isildur. Aragorn's parents married under the shadow of prophecy. Gilraen's father, Dirhael, foresaw sorrow in the union, warning that Arathorn's life would be short. Yet Isildur, Gilraen's mother, saw hope in their child. She predicted that this union would bring forth a great leader, a beacon for their people. "The days are darkening before the storm," Isildur said, "and great things are to come." With these omens in mind, Dirhael relented, and Arathorn and Gilraen were wed. 1 year after their marriage, Arathorn's father Arador was slain by trolls, leaving Arathorn to lead the Dúnedain as their chieftain. Tragedy struck again when Arathorn himself was killed by an orc arrow in 2933, leaving Gilraen widowed and Aragorn, only 2 years old, fatherless. Fearing for her son's safety, Gilraen brought Aragorn to Rivendell, the sanctuary of Elrond half-elven. Here, Aragorn's identity as the heir of Isildur was kept secret, and he was given the name Estel, meaning hope. Under Elrond's care, Aragorn grew up surrounded by the wisdom of the ages. Rivendell, nestled in the valleys of Imladris, was a refuge of beauty and learning. The halls echoed with the lore of the Eldar, the histories of Númenor, and the tales of the ages before them. Aragorn absorbed these stories, forging a deep connection to his heritage. Elrond became a father figure to Aragorn, guiding him in both wisdom and virtue. Aragorn also formed close bonds with Elrond's sons, Elladan and Alvorhir. The twins, driven by their mother Celebrian's torment at the hands of the orcs, took Aragorn under their wing, training him in the ways of combat and survival. During his years in Rivendell, Aragorn mastered healing arts and became fluent in Sindarin and Quenya. He also explored the wilds of Eriador with Elladan and Alvorhir, honing his skills as a tracker and a warrior. Rivendell itself shaped Aragorn's early years, immersing him in the beauty and sorrow of the Eldar. when Aragorn turned 20 and had just returned from a journey with Elladan and Alvor here. Being pleased with the young man's maturity and promise, Elrond revealed the truth of his heritage. Aragorn learned that he was the heir of Isildur, the last chieftain of the Dúnedain and the rightful claimant to the thrones of Arnor and Gondor. Elrond presented Aragorn with 2 heirlooms, the Ring of Barahir and the Shards of Narsil. The Ring of Barahir symbolized the unbroken line of Númenor, while the Shards of Narsil were a potent reminder of Isildur's triumph and folly. However, Elrond withheld the Scepter of Annúminas, the symbol of Arnor's kingship, saying Aragorn must prove himself before claiming this one. Shortly after learning his true identity, Aragorn's path crossed with that of Arwen and Domiel. Returning from Lothlorien, where she had stayed with her grandmother, Galadriel, Arwen appeared before Aragorn as a vision of beauty. She wore a silver and blue dress, and to Aragorn she seemed to embody Luthien Tenuviel, the elven maiden of legend. Unable to contain his awe, Aragorn called out, "Tenuviel! Tenuviel!" echoing the words of Beren, Luthien's mortal lover. Though Arwen gently corrected him, the moment marked the beginning of their connection. Aragorn revealed his name and lineage, but this only deepened the gap between them. Arwen, a descendant of Elrond and thus the Maiamelian, was immortal, while Aragorn bore the mortal doom of men. Gilraen warned Aragorn against his love for Arwen, calling it an impossible dream. Elrond too reminded Aragorn of the trials that lay ahead, telling him that he must rise above all his forefathers before being worthy of Arwen's hand. Accepting this challenge, Aragorn left Rivendell and began his life as a wanderer. For nearly 20 years, Aragorn travelled under the alias Thorongil, or Eagle of the Star, serving in the shadows to protect the Free Peoples. His journey took him across Middle-earth, from the forests of Mirkwood to the deserts of Harad. In Rohan, Aragorn served King Thengel, Theoden's father, where he gained the respect of the Rohirrim for his valour and counsel. Moving on to Gondor, Aragorn became a trusted captain of Ecthelion II, the Steward of Gondor. There, he advised against placing trust in Saruman and urged reliance on Gandalf instead, a warning Ecthelion would later regret ignoring. Aragorn's most famous feat as Thorongil was his raid on the Corsairs of Umbar. Leading a fleet under the cover of night, he destroyed many of their ships and slew their captain in single combat. Though celebrated, Aragorn departed Gondor before his identity could be discovered, leaving behind a message that he had other tasks to fulfill. Some speculate that this departure would have been due to Denethor, yes, the same Denethor we meet later in The Lord of the Rings and who is in fact Ecthelion's son, who suspected Thorongil's heritage and viewed him as a rival for Gondor's future. In 2980, Aragorn returned to Lothlorien, weary from his travels, where there he reunited with Arwen. Under the golden boughs of Cairn Amroth, they pledged their love, and Arwen chose to forsake her immortality for Aragorn. This decision mirrored the choice of her ancestor Luthien and bound her fate to Aragorn's. Returning to Rivendell, Arwen began crafting a banner for Aragorn, one that would signify his claim to the throne when the time came. Meanwhile, Aragorn continued his labours in the wild. He guarded the Shire and Bree, often going unseen, while also aiding Gandalf in the hunt for Gollum. In 3017, Aragorn captured Gollum in the Dead Marshes, bringing him to Thranduil's halls in Mirkwood for interrogation. This journey spanned 900 miles on foot, and was one of Aragorn's most arduous tasks. I mean, imagine having to drag and carry Gollum all of that way, while you know he would have been complaining the entire time. You've got to say, Aragorn was truly a man of patience and determination. Then in May 3018, Aragorn met Gandalf at Sarn Ford, where they discussed the growing shadow of the enemy. When Frodo Baggins left the Shire, Aragorn was now ready to guide him, knowing the ring's fate would shape the future of Middle-earth. And so, there we have it. From the halls of Rivendell to the burning ships of Umbar, from the Dead Marshes to the borders of Mordor, Aragorn's early life shaped him into the resilient, wise, and hopeful leader Middle-earth needed. Every challenge he faced and every path he walked prepared him for his destiny in the War of the Ring, not just as a warrior, but as the man who would become king and raise the hopes of the Free Peoples. And I would also like to take a moment at the end of this video today to give you a quick update on The Guard, the short film that we are creating. Everything is going amazing. We have just shot block 2 and the rest of it should hopefully be shot soon too. As always, it is all the money from our Patreon that is funding this. In essence, it is a no budget production if you consider the large scale of film, but every pound that you give is a massive help to create an incredible story. I'm putting a couple of shots on screen now and some behind the scenes clips to kind of give you an idea of what's going on. So if you would like to help support it a little bit more to help push us over the line, then please check out our Patreon. Every little bit really helps. And with that, now it is time for my question of the day, which is, which of Aragorn's trials do you think most defined his character? Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this in the comment section down below. And now it is time to give a massive thank you to our patrons who continue to support the channel. You are all amazing. And if you have reached the very end of this video with me today and you haven't subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so. It would massively help us out. And why not drop a like on the video as well? And with that, all I can say is, thank you for spending just some of your time with me today, and I will see you next time on The Broken Sword.